Alright guys, so today's video I'm going to be taking this carburetor apart. I just got this in the mail. This was a carburetor that Mark James runs on one of his engines. This is actually the same carburetor he ran in the video where he did the dyno pull. And it actually ran really surprisingly well, and that's actually why I got these. I have another one coming, so this one right here is a 24 millimeter carburetor. I have another one coming. It is a 20 millimeter carb. I'll actually pull it up on eBay real quick so you can take a look real quick. So this one right here, the one that I just got, is this guy here. So it is a 24 millimeter PD24J carb. It's about 25 bucks. Figured I would do a little video on it real quick since I've never had one and I don't really know what it's all about. But the way it ran on Mark James's bike, I'm definitely going to run it. It ran really good. So anyway, we're going to get into this. First thing I'm going to do is kind of identify all the parts of this carb, at least as far as I know. I just watched a couple random videos on it just to kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here, because to be honest, it's kind of confusing when you first look at it. So obviously your carburetor intake side, over here, this side's where your filter goes. As far as I can tell, this is either the choke or they call it the auto enrichener. This hooks up to the wiring harness. I'm probably going to be removing that or deleting it. Over on this side we have the throttle, the idle, the post where your hey, look, it's bent. Lovely. Good old China. Anyway, your throttle cable goes in here, wraps around this side and pulls like that. Right here, what was said is it's a vacuum line for the intake. Looks like it's got a piece here for another vacuum if you had like something else going to it. It has a diaphragm in it, which we're going to take that apart and take a look. I'm going to figure that out. Down here we got our float bowl. This is a float bowl drain, which is nice. So if you have, you're doing a jet change, you can just drain your float bowl real quick. Over here we have the air mixture screw. And this is the vent for the carburetor, or the overflow. This is your fuel inlet in. And then if you look inside the carburetor here, you can kind of see how it has, this carburetor is really, this screwdriver is really dirty. I don't really want to get a bunch of junk in there. You can see that it has a slide that goes up and down with a needle. So what this is referred to as, this specific carburetor, is a variable Venturi carburetor. And what makes that neat is you start your engine right and your slides down and you're starting to take off and gain speed. Well, as you pick up speed and RPMs, this Venturi starts to open slowly with the RPMs as the engine increases speed. It basically, what you're really doing with that is it keeps velocity at a good rate. So say if this was all the way open and you pulled throttle wide open, your velocity is going to be really low for those lower RPMs until it picks up speed. But when you pull throttle wide open with this at the Venturi, your air velocity is much faster, which is going to atomize fuel better. It's going to pick up speed of the engine much quicker. Basically better acceleration. So that's why I bought this carburetor, because variable Venturi is really cool. I didn't even know these things existed until I met Mark James. I mean, I knew the carburetor existed, I just didn't know what it did, or anyhow. So let's get to taking this thing apart. Oh, I was going to show you guys real quick. So I'm going to measure this real quick just so you can see what the measurements are. So that's about, I don't know how well you can see that, 24.47 on the Venturi. Over here you can't really tell, so I'll just measure the OD. Looks like it's about 42 millimeters on the OD. Over here on this OD for the intake boot, you're looking at about 32 millimeters. I don't know how well you can see that. Anyway, back to what we were doing here. So I'm going to start with pulling off, I guess, the electronic choke thingy, which this is in the way, so I'm going to move it first. Holy cow, this little screw is really tight. Yeah, I've never had one of these, and I'm really curious to see what it's all about. It really ran good on Mark's bike, so that was really cool to see, actually, because I've never ran one. So I'm going to pull off that thing there. It's got a little cable stay right here for the wiring or whatever. Now we're going to try and pull off. I'll probably get to it easier if I take this off first. Take this piece off. I'm curious to see what it looks like in here. If this is like just a little valve that opens or what. Might be for the choke, I'm not sure. We will find out. Today's video is sponsored by no one. I do not have any sponsors. Huh. Wonder if I ever will. Maybe. We'll see. See if I get popular or not. Anyway, we're going to put all our screws in this magnetic bowl. Little Harbor Freight bowl for like $2. So, that's really interesting. It does look like it's a little valve that has kind of a O-ring there with a three-way passage. That's interesting. Okay. Kind of curious to see what this looks like on the inside. I bet it's just like a little turn valve, kind of like a water spigot valve on the inside. Take a look-see here. Should have brought my screw gun. Make this a little quicker. Hopefully there's no springs that go flinging out of here. Oh, that's kind of neat. It's like a little needle valve. So by the looks of it, either air or fuel goes in right there, and then possibly pops out at this one, and then when the needle lifts, it drops down to this one. Okay, so it probably has like a little solenoid or something that pulls this. I might actually put some power to that and see what it does, now that I'm curious. Okay, what else do we got here? We got this up here, which I removed one screw, so we'll take this apart and see what it looks like in here. Mark James said you have to cut the spring in half. My guess is when it's picking up speed or velocity or whatever, the spring just is a little too much for it. Okay, there's not much going on here. So, metal tin hat looking thing. A pretty large spring. Oh. Okay, so that's the thing right here. Interesting. I wonder. I'm going to do a little test real quick. So I got this liner right here. I'm just going to hook it right here. I'm going to blow into it. I'm going to see if this lifts up. I can't make it do anything. Well, anyway, this is the Venturi slide for, I guess, the diaphragm for it. I'm just going to lift this up and take a look in here. So there's our needle. It's kind of interesting little thing right here. Alright. Next we're going to take off, well, I guess I got to get this out of the way first. This here. Put that in the bowl. I don't want to be losing stuff. Brand new carburetor. I can't put it back together. That would suck. Alright. By the way, they put this thing together well. You're definitely not getting these screws apart unless you got a little bit of a arm on you. They're pretty tight. Okay. So now we're down to this thing. Looks like the vacuum... What's the word I'm looking here for? Vacuum Venturi thing? Because it's got a little brass thing there. I'm a little shaky because I had a cup of coffee and haven't eaten anything yet. That's my life for you. Coffee life. Ooh, okay, there's definitely a spring in here, so don't want to let that go. Okay, so So this one's got a spring that's really strong. Well, not really strong, it's just a little spring. And I lost it. Okay. Got our spring. There's a little vacuum deal. It's probably why I couldn't move the diaphragm, because this thing is stronger than me. The spring was anyways. So, little tiny diaphragm. Valve thingy. Not really sure what exactly that's for. And it doesn't really show it. Can't really tell. It's probably got like some like route through the carburetor from like right here or there to over here or something. Anyway, on to the float bowl. Every time I look at my screwdriver and see all this stuff on it, I think, gosh, I hope this doesn't get inside my carburetor and stay in there and then clog something while I'm trying to use it. Even though lately I haven't been running with an air filter, so that makes it all the better. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the float bowl screws in there so I can remember where those go. Because I probably won't remember all the rest of the screws either. Be fidgeting with different screw lengths trying to find out what goes where. Rewatch this video so I can see how it goes back together backwards. Wouldn't that be funny? Alright. Yeah, this is a really neat carburetor. I'm gonna attempt to run it and see what I think. I'm pretty used to Dolorto carbs and the other name carburetors that I can't think of off the top of my head real quick. So there's our float bowl. Well, this is pretty much just a standard carburetor on the inside. We got a main jet. This jet isn't removable. I don't know what that is. This jet, though, I'm pretty sure is the pilot jet. There's a screwdriver right here. We're going to take these apart real quick and take a look and see what these might be. Of course, that's going to move. I'm going to need some pliers. That's not a plier. This will work. Destroy my carburetor before I even run it. Just grab it lightly. Hopefully it'll hold it still while I turn this out. Nope. That was a fail. Put it on the flat spot. Tighten it up just a little bit. Hopefully it'll grab it now without letting it move. Move very much anyways. Alright. Come on. Oh, got it. Alright. Cool. I did not destroy my carburetor trying to get the main jet out. I mean, I scuffed it a little. This almost looks just like a Dolorto 5mm jet. There's no writing on it, so I'm guessing this is probably a stock like 80 or 90 or whatever. I'm going to measure the threads real quick. This caliper's about toast. We're looking at like 5mm threads. Yeah, it's like 4.5mm. See what the calibration on my thing is here. Yeah, like 4.7. So it's almost a 5mm jet. I might be able to get this pilot out. Yeah, I will be able to. The screwdriver is almost too big. No? It says I'm not coming out. There we go. Nice. Alright, so there's our pilot jet. No numbers again, but I just happen to have some jets right here. These are for, I believe, an OKO. Similar. Very similar. I wonder if they'll go into it. Curiosity has me. Put these in there so I don't get them mixed up. Okay, so these are the OKO jets. This one is a 125, so we'll see if that threads in there. Oh, look at that, it does. Okay. Nice. Well, I'll have some jets to play with then. That's good. This is the pilot for the OKO, I believe. Just drop that in there and see if it'll thread in. Oh, nice. Heck yeah, it does. So I have a full set of these jets, so I'll be able to jet this thing. That makes me happy. These are the same jets that my Stage 6 carb uses. Alright. Well, that's pretty cool. So we're going to take the float bowl out real quick. See if I have anything to remove that with. I got a little piece of solder here I might be able to poke that with. Unless it doesn't come out. So I'm looking at this thing here and it's either angled or something's not right. I don't know. Oh, there it moves. Maybe something a little finer pointed. Maybe this will work. A little bread twist tie. Maybe it won't work. There's another little bread twist tie, a little bit smaller. Got it. Alright. I'm going to pull the float off real quick. Definitely going to put that in there. So there's our needle and our seat for the fuel flow. These are our floats and the little tab where you would adjust it. I'm just going to put this back together. I don't really have a reason to take it apart besides to show you guys. So yeah, there's that. There's not much left of this carburetor to really take apart and show. I'm not going to take the butterfly out to take that apart. I don't really want to attempt to try and put that back inside there. That would be a real pain. Alright, well I'm going to put this carburetor back together real quick. And yeah, let's start. We'll start with the float bowl since that needs done. Grab our little pin. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to run this. It's kind of a really ugly carburetor. It doesn't look anything like a Mikuni or a, you know, nice carb, but it's really light for the size of this carburetor. It really doesn't weigh much more than a Mikuni. Probably because it's like really chintzy pop metal or something, but we're going to put the stock jets back into it. Just so... I wiped off my screwdriver, by the way, for anybody wondering. I don't want any burrs or junk in here, even though it's probably going to get something in it anyway. Don't over tighten your jets, by the way. Sink them down until they're snug, and that's it. You over tighten jets, these little brass itty bitty little things will strip out in a hurry. So don't bury your jets. Just enough where it's not going to vibrate loose from the engine running. Okay. So we got our pin back in, our needle seat, main, and pilot back in. Going to put our float bowl back on. There's our float bowl screws. I'm going to move these out of the way real quick. Alright. Tighten these guys up real fast. Also, another tip I'd say is don't over tighten your float bowl screws either. This metal strips so quickly. Just literally go to the point they're mostly snug and then just give it a little bit more. Not to the point, you know, where you're turning it and it's already tight and then you basically strip it. You don't want to do that with these, or else you're going to be throwing a nut on the backside and hoping that you can get it on there with a longer screw. Or you'll drill it out and re-tap it with something bigger. I don't want to deal with that. Next thing I'll do is, I guess, put this guy back in there. Clean off all this stuff. I need to clean this table off. It's pretty much a mess. Get down in there, come on. Make Make sure I got nothing on the deal here. Okay, there it goes. It's sinking down in there. Gotta kind of put this diaphragm back down like that. Spring. What I do with the spring? Is it this spring? No, this is not Blue's Clues. Put that spring in there. Get out of there. Okay. Flat side looks like it's over here, so something like that. Perfect. Now the question is, what screw was it? Well, it looks to be something pretty short, so I'm gonna guess these guys. And there's another short one. I'm terrible about remembering exactly what screw came out of where, but I've rebuilt enough engines that I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get this together on the first shot. I'm sure some of you are telling me that I need to remember this thing. And I'm going to tell you I'm not putting that in there, but I am going to say that that screw is actually longer than the one I just put in there, I'm pretty sure. Thought you were going to get it together in the first try, Will. Okay, so maybe it'll be 2 or 3 tries. I don't know, is that the same length? It's really close to the same length, but it's not, so I'm going to put in the longer one. I assume they use the longer one for a reason, so we'll put it in there. By the way, this whole video is a no edit. I'm just going to upload it as is, and that's it. No edits to this video besides an intro and an exit, which you already saw the intro, but I haven't made this video yet because I'm currently filming it. But by the time it gets into YouTube, it'll already be edited. Me and my no edit. Claim it's a no edit. I swear I put an intro. Anyway, I'm babbling. Okay, so we got that back on with the spring. Guess we'll come over here and put this thing back on, which was this electronic dookie, which this piece goes on. So this looks like the one that has the super short screws. Maybe it's this thing. Tell you what, I'll go to the other side real quick and do this one, because I'm feeling a little more confident that I'll get this one right. So, we need this little diaphragm to put back in there. Try and seat the little gasket dealie in there as well as you can get it. Maybe seat it a certain way, let's see. Doesn't feel like it. Doesn't really make a difference, I guess. Now I need the spring. What's in the bottom of this thing? Chips. Okay, so spring, center it as well as you can. And then push this guy down. My guess is because this spring's fairly strong, it's going to take one of these longer screws. Anytime you're putting something together and it's got some push to it, you want a good amount of surface area on chintzy metal to hold things. So turn it like that, get it started. Then I didn't quite tighten this side all the way down, so we're gonna turn it like that, tighten this one down too. Alright. And then come back over to this side. I'm gonna put this back on. Doesn't need anything, just goes right there together. This is a bigger screw. Right, so we have two sets of bigger screws. One's a little bit longer and one's a little bit shorter. My guess is the shorter screw goes in this dealie, and my guess is the longer one goes on this side. So I'm hoping we'll find out. I might be a little bit wrong here. This might bottom out before it gets all the way in. Nope, it didn't. It's good. I have a feeling I'm going to have to take this apart real quick to get this piece back on. Whoops. Because it doesn't fit right without it. So we got to turn that like that, and then you kind of have to fight the spring a little bit to get it in there. I had to wiggle it. It seated the thing in there finally. Oh, this is going to be a pain. Alright, I'm going to take this back out and take this back off. I think it'll be easier to put on without it on. Scrambling! Because this video is already 26 minutes. Okay. I'll probably put this into two parts video, one taking it apart, one putting it back together. So anyway, this thing goes this way. You gotta wiggle it around to seat it in there. Come on. There it goes. Press it down. Looks like you gotta drop your screw in. Hold it. Thread it in. Don't go all the way. Come over to this side. Clock this thing around to where it's out of your way. Drop this in there. Thread it in. Tighten this one all the way down. Reclock that back. Tighten this one the rest of the way down. Okay. Now we can put this on like so. And what did I say? This was longer screws? Yeah. So drop your longer screws in like that. Thread them in. If you're smarter than me, you'll use some kind of drill or something that speeds up the process and doesn't make your video 28 minutes long. Just take a carburetor apart and put it back together. I'm looking at my GoPro thinking, Jesus, nobody's going to watch this video. Maybe you'll think I'm funny and like the video, I don't know. Alright, so that's back together. You can turn that dealie there. Last thing to put on, this piece. So it goes like that because it was in the way of that. Here's your short little screws. I'm going to attempt to float this above and thread it in. Got it. Nailed it. Winner. Maybe I can edit in some funny little clip of me saying that just now. Tighten it up. Alright. Our carburetor was completely taken apart and completely put back together. And I didn't mix up any screws, surprisingly. So, yeah. If you liked the video, or this helped you, awesome. If not, well, sorry. Anyway, hope you guys have a good one.